So a very sort of quick overview of what kudos is, or I should say kudos, get the accent right. There are four main parts to the service. The first we call explain. This is where an author can write a lay summary, an impact statement, a short title for their work, and there's lots of evidence around short titles leading to higher citations. This was some of the sort of literature review work that we did. They can then have that content associated with their article. If a publisher already collects that content, we can take that into the system, because at the moment it generally is locked in silos or it doesn't exist at all. But this is a great new discoverability layer. Written in plain English, it's much more easy to translate, and we're taking that information and distributing it with links back to the publisher's site to create this new discoverability layer, which makes the research much more skimmable, accessible, available to interdisciplinary audiences and public audiences and so on. That's the first part. The second part is we know that every piece of published research has a much bigger research story around it. We call this the sort of research arc in Kudos. So an article will have images and figures and data and all these other assets that help tell the story of that particular researcher's work. And of course all those things are spread all over the web, and if we can find a way to join them up, then they become inbound links back to your site, back to your articles, helping enrich the reader experience, because we can also take those links, provide those to publishers to display on the article page to say, here is additional reading material recommended by the author, but also bringing traffic back in by having this kind of distributed research idea. The third part of Kudos is the sharing. This is the bit that's fairly embryonic, but we've got big plans for it. In terms of, through Kudos, you can email about your work, you can send broadcasts through social media about your work, but it's to your network, it's not our network, but we put trackable links into all of that activity so that you can then see the impact in terms of your metric scores, usage scores, citations, and so on. And we're totally metric agnostic. We had a discussion early on at Kudos HQ, did we want to do metrics? Somebody for some awful moment mentioned a K-score, and then about 5 seconds later we said, no, we do not want to do metrics. Metrics is going to be very complicated, it's a full-time job. We're really grateful that Andrea wants to do it, that Jason Preen wants to do it, that Ewan Aldy wants to do it. Great, we will take whatever data is available, and then we'll let institutions, publishers, authors choose what's important and relevant to them, and benchmark themselves and see the impact of the different activities that we offer through Kudos on whatever metrics matter to them. Ultimately, we see this being a big kind of learning platform. The data within the system will drive out very bespoke protocols for individuals. So if you're a young scientist in this particular area, these are the things that you need to do to get maximum visibility for your work. This is what the Kudos news site looks like. If you go there now, you won't see this, but if you go there in a couple of days' time, you will. So we're putting basic bibliographic data in from Crossref. We hold no article content on our site. It's all about taking content back to the publisher's site. But once they've claimed an article, then they have these tools, explain, enrich, share, that they can click on. Pop-up boxes come to enter the lay summary data and so on. The pop-up box here to add different resources that they want to link to their article. And then, as I said, sharing by email or through social media. And this part will be really developing over the next year and a half in terms of automating a lot of the deposit of this data on behalf of researchers, and also sharing it more effectively. This is what the Kudos dashboard looks like. So here, an author can look at all their articles, whoever they publish with. They can look at whether or not they've used the Kudos tools, and then they can look at the impact of their sharing activities on all of their article metrics. So that's citations. We take daily download data from publishers, so they can see if they tweeted today, what was the impact on their download stats. So a whole range of things that they can choose to look at. And what publishers get is just fantastic visibility suddenly on all of that activity. So here they can see reports on who's using the tools, how effective are those tools being. You can drill into the author's network, so it's great for advocacy opportunities. You can see which authors' metric scores are changing rapidly, which means maybe there's a zeitgeist topic that's sort of getting covered. So it really kind of brings the research alive and gives that window on what your researchers are doing. And here's an example from our pilot, actually, which shows you on the right some of the click-throughs that authors were achieving to their articles from some of the sharing activities. So these are in the hundreds for those that are most successful. And I would have bitten my right arm off to try and get that response when I was at OUP in terms of click-throughs from an email campaign that I was running. So these people do have the network and the connections, and those that don't are going to need to grow them to be able to compete, and that's the reality of, I think, doing research over the next 10, 20 years. So here you can see one of our top authors, Philippi, who is a physicist, had 318 referrals through to his work. And I decided to take a little bit more of a closer look at him to see what kind of presence he had on social media. And here's his article on AIP's platform. This is what we're used to seeing. There's his piece of work. And here's a conference tracking tool that he uses. He goes to high-energy physics conferences, no surprise there. But he also does these other things in terms of talking about his work. He's on Mendeley, he's on LinkedIn, he's on ResearchGate, very active tweeter. He has a blog. He has a YouTube channel with 500,000 downloads. I think even that beats Anthony Williams over there. So this is where research is happening. And who's to say which of these pieces is most important, the article or some of the other channels that he's using to communicate? Who's to say what actually has impact? I think one of the things that I'm excited about the metrics development is driving out what is the most effective way to communicate research, and maybe we'll have some surprises. So, Andrea mentioned it, we're all paranoid, we know we're going to get questions about it. Is this gamification? From Kudos's perspective, to me it's a bit like saying we shouldn't talk about research. You know, let's be quiet about it, let's not share what we're achieving or what we're interested in. We have this amazing new environment to talk about and share information. And at the moment it's only used by a minority. But the minority that are using it are seeing some dramatic results. And I think one of the ambitions of Kudos is to bring those tools to the majority, to share best practice of the minority with everybody else, to make it easier, more automated, less time-consuming, so that everybody has the opportunity for more visibility for their work, and I don't feel that's gamification. And authors want to do this. They want to share their ideas. When we launched the pilot, we had lots of positive tweets from the research community. And I just want to show you a couple of quotes also from the survey that we ran. Overwhelmingly positive. We had one negative quote, but otherwise people were saying, look, I spend so much time doing my research. The idea of spending just a few hours, which actually you don't need, Kudos takes about 4 minutes to use, but a few hours seems worthwhile to help it have more impact. And we have other people saying, I know I should be using these tools, but I'm not sure how to do it. And again, talking to Anthony Williams over lunch, he was saying he does spend a lot of time training, particularly young scientists, in how to use these tools to help to share their work. So Kudos will make that easier. There's even somebody saying, I would pay to use this service, which is rather nice. That's not part of our business model, actually. We want to make it free for researchers to use. But you know, it seems to be something that people want. So it's a great, exciting time. We've got lots of opportunities to help researchers get more visibility for their work. That's what Kudos is all about. So thank you very much.